I hope you're having a lovely day. I thought we could talk about how my no-buy is going, which, to be fair, since being in isolation and not being allowed to leave the house except for essentials, has been surprisingly easy because I've not been in any shops. So in terms of that, it's going really well. What I wanted to talk about today are the things that are on my wish list. So obviously I am only human. Even though I'm doing a no-buy and I'm restricting the things I'm allowed to purchase throughout the year, there are still things that I would like. I'm going to share with you the things that are on my wish list, if I'm going to purchase them, when I think I'm going to purchase them, and a little bit about why I would like them. The interesting thing for me when making this list was how short it was. I sat down with my notebook just so I would have the things that I wanted to talk about listed in front of me. It is on the table in front of me right here. And I was like, oh, okay, this is probably going to be a long list. And I really struggled. I struggled to think of the things that I want. There were a few things that very quickly came to the front of my mind because I've been thinking about them for a while. But then aside from that, I really struggled. And I think I've worked out the reason. A lot of my purchases in the past have been impulse buys. So it would have definitely been the case that I'd have been in a clothing store, for example, I'd have seen something I liked and so I bought it. And it wouldn't have been something I knew I was going to buy until the moment I found it in the shop and made the decision to purchase it. So even back when I wasn't doing a no-buy, if you had told me to write down a wish list, I wouldn't have known to put that item on my wish list because I didn't know it existed until I walked into the shop. Likewise with makeup, a lot of the makeup I've bought because I've been out in the shops and I've seen it and I've bought it. I have struggled a little bit in terms of the availability of online shopping because I do a lot of browsing, but so far I've been pretty good. I haven't bought any makeup, I haven't bought any clothes, so I feel like I'm doing really well. But I digress, back to the wish list. So there aren't an awful lot of items that I know that I really, really want, which I think is brilliant because it's just making me realise that the things I've been spending a lot of money on in the past prior to starting my no-buy have been just impulse buys and completely unnecessary. I hadn't spent the time thinking through whether I really want that item, whether I'd get the use out of it, whether it was a good use of my money, and I just went ahead and bought it. So I'm glad I've been able to have this further realisation about the things that I actually really want, and the things on this list I have been thinking about pretty much since I started my no-buy. I'd say somewhere within the first month, and they've been in my head. So the first thing on my wish list is the only item I will buy sort of in the immediate future. So I'm thinking sort of within the next few days I will probably order online, and that is a nut milk bag. I want to have a go at making my own nut milks and oat milks. It's not something I've ever done before, but I do buy nut and oat milks from the supermarket, and I would just like to have a go at making my own. So I feel like that's something, in a way, I can kind of justify it. I mean, it does fall under household, which is an area I was really trying to restrict. But my justifications are it's an item that's quite cheap, so it won't cost me a lot of money. It's not a big item, so it's not going to take up a lot of space in my house. And it will lead me to be able to potentially make my own products that would have been cheaper than buying them in the store in the long run, and it's going to be more sustainable, and that's part of this journey that I'm on. I want to become more sustainable, so I feel like I shouldn't feel too guilty if I go ahead and purchase that in the next couple of days. On a similar line, the next thing I want to buy, and this is sort of a small thing as well, are some cotton produce bags for when I go to the supermarket. And at the minute, that's not very often given the circumstances, but I'm not sure I'll purchase that immediately. Obviously, it would be a lovely thing to have, but to be honest, I'm not certain that it's an essential, because at the minute when I pick up loose produce at the supermarket, I don't put it into any bag. I just put it in my basket and then I put it on the conveyor for the tills, and then I just sort of manage. So it's not that necessarily having that would make me more sustainable and use less plastic, because I'm not using plastic bags for produce anymore. but it would be a nice thing to have. So it's not essential, which is why it's on my wish list, but I'm not thinking that I'm going to immediately buy it. The next thing on my wish list is powder foundation, which will be something I'll be able to buy quite soon. As you will know if you've watched my previous videos about my makeup, I'm not decluttering my makeup. I'm trying to use up everything that I've got. And as part of the rules in my no buy, I'm only allowed to purchase makeup when I have completely run out of a particular type of product. So when I've used up all my foundations, I can buy a new one, for example. So far, all my experiences with foundation has been using liquid foundations, but I would really like to try using powder foundations just because I feel like they're more breathable and probably better for the skin. So that's something that's on my wish list that I'm looking forward to trying once I've used up all of my current foundation products. Then on my list, I've got that I would like some new closet storage systems. So I've recently posted a video decluttering our closet in our master bedroom, and I was unable to get any storage systems as I decluttered that to sort of have it organized because of the situation we're in. I can't go out and buy anything, and I don't necessarily want to order that online. I think I would rather go out into shops and have a look to see what storage items I would like. So at the minute, I'm making do with that situation. There are things sort of stacked up against the back wall and placed on the floor. I've tried to get it neat and organized so I know where everything is, but it would be much more functional and much more efficient if I had some sort of storage systems in place. So that would be something I'd really enjoy having. Again, it's in the household section, which is one of the stricter areas of my no buy because clothes, makeup and household were my worst areas for spending. And so at some point, yes, I would like to get some storage. I really want to spend the time and think it through and plan so I know exactly what I want, so that it's not only functional for now, but if I get rid of things or I bring in new things, the storage system will be able to work for future organisation as well as the current. So it's not something I'll be buying immediately. It's something that I want to think about, and obviously I can't get out to the shops yet anyway, so we'll just wait on that one. Now the next one is new underwear. I would like some new underwear, particularly bras. I would say my bottoms are fine, but all my bras are getting kind of old. There's nothing wrong with them. They were perfectly great when I bought them. It's not that they were a bad quality or anything like that. I've just had them for a while. They're starting to get a bit worn. They've been through the wash a lot, and they're just not something that make me feel confident anymore. I would just like something new and fresh to be wearing. But that one falls into clothing, and again, it's a highly restricted one. But I also think it's been a long time since I treated myself to some new underwear. So maybe it's something I can think about, look into different brands that I'd like to support. Obviously, I want to support ethical brands. I also want to be more cautious because I've now got more of a realization about what goes into our clothes, and I'd like to be more cautious about what I put on my skin. So it is going to take some research anyway. And so I'm going to look into that. Again, it won't be an immediate purchase, but it's something that's on my wish list. Then I've got 3 more items. There's one that's quite expensive and 2 that I would consider to be very expensive and are probably in the very distant future. The one that's quite expensive but could be a sensible and realistic purchase is that I would like some linen bedding. I've heard wonderful things about the benefits of linen bedding, and it's just something that I would like to purchase, but it does come with quite a high price tag, supposedly because it lasts for a very long time, so you can use it for many years. So it would be more of an investment purchase, and I've kind of just got to get my head around the whole justifying spending that much money on bedding. It is something I really want. It's actually been on my wish list since before I started my no buy, but even back when I first started thinking about this, I couldn't justify the price tag of it, and now I'm into a no buy, so it makes it kind of harder. But it's definitely something I think would be a good investment and something I'm looking at buying in the future. I just don't know when. Onto the second most expensive item is a camera. I would love a better camera to do my filming on. At the minute, I've been using a combination of just my phone and an older camera that I had. They're not atrocious quality, but they're also not brilliant, and so it would be nice to have a new camera to use for filming things like this. I don't know when I will sort of think is the right time to buy one. I'm just sort of going to leave that one open. I also feel like because it's towards a hobby, like for example, one of my hobbies is art, and I haven't put a limit on being able to buy art supplies. I think in my first no buy video, when I outlined my rules, I said I shouldn't need to purchase any more art supplies because I have got a lot, but I would be allowed to if I wanted to because it's a hobby. So I feel like if I want to buy a camera, because doing this is another hobby of mine, it's a creative outlet, I love doing it, and I'm into the mindset now where I feel like I'm sure I'm going to carry on, whereas when I first started out, I didn't want to buy an expensive camera because I didn't know if I'd enjoy it. I didn't know if I'd enjoy filming or editing or all of the things that come with doing this sort of thing, and I've absolutely loved it. And so now I feel like I'm getting to the point where maybe I could justify spending a bit more so I can make the content look better, and so maybe at some point I will invest in a new camera. And yes, it will be expensive, but I think I can kind of justify it. And the last thing, which is the really expensive thing, which is kind of similar to wanting a new camera, is to wanting a new computer. I've mentioned it a couple of times in videos previously. I'm not going to get one unless my computer completely gives up on me. It's not stopped me browsing. I've had a look at a few that I am interested in terms of needing a good computer for my work, but also having a good computer so that editing is easier, let's say, and the ones I'm looking at are in the region of about £1,000, which I know for some people will sound shockingly high, and for some people they'll be like, well, that's not a lot on a computer. That's the ballpark I'm looking in. And a couple of days ago, I had such a hard time editing because my computer kept crashing, so I'm not having an easy time with it at the minute. It's fine because I can deal with it and I can get on with it, but it has been a pain. But I also know that having a new computer is not something that's going to happen unless it completely gives up. And so I'm just going to deal with it. But a new computer is on my wish list. Specifically, I'd love an all-in-one. I've never really been a laptop person. I find using a desktop much easier. I also have dual screens because I have a lot going on all at once. But I would love to have an all-in-one. I think they look amazing, and having one massive screen, I'm definitely all about that. But that is just a dream. That is way in the future. I couldn't afford it anyway. But something I'm thinking about, and I guess if I get to the point where I desperately need a new computer, it won't be so bad because I know how little I have actually spent this year. I'm not necessarily saying compared to what I would normally spend because I've said it before. I don't really know what a typical week, month, however long looked like for me in terms of what I spent because I was very up and down, and as I've said, I was very much impulse buying, so it's very easy to lose track. But I know I've spent far less than I have done previously, so I suppose in a way it would kind of all balance out. But if I did go on to buy a computer, that would mean I've definitely not saved money this year. I would have just spent probably about the same amount of money in a different sort of purchase. So those were the things on my wish list. As I've said, I might buy some of them quite soon. Others of them are very distant future. And that is all I really want to talk about today. Let me know in the comments below if you're doing a no-buy. How is it going? Have there been any things you've really struggled with? Have there been any things you've purchased that maybe you shouldn't have? Have there been any things you've purchased and you're really glad that you did? Let me know. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. And if you're not following me on Instagram, I will pop that right here as always. Please go and check that out. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.